everybody. Happy Friday. Good to see you. Hey, Gwen, broke cowgirl. Hey, Sparkman. Good to see you. No worries. No worries. Glad you're here. Always happy when you can be here. Um, Lisa Colovi, my moderator, is not here tonight, although she'll probably stop in. I know her, but so won't be posting links tonight just because I don't have anybody to do so. Hey, Gwen. Hey, Rudy. Hey, Holman's Homestead. Hey, Rebecca, Touched by Yarn. Hey, Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. Good to see you guys. Sparkman, you're too funny. She is. She's doing something fun. I just don't want to share it because that's her kind of thing. Um, but I was thinking of topics, and I was trying to think of like what would be helpful for people who want to do this, right? If they knew it ahead of time. I mean, I would hope people would research and not just jump in. I've seen people jump in and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them because they jumped out and ran for the hills. So I was like, should probably talk about the downsides of homesteading. Now, I don't call it downside. Some of it I do call downsides, but some of it I don't. I call it part of it. So I just kind of Googled the downsides. So I thought what we could do is go over them and talk about them. How does that sound? Because I think they came up with some interesting ones. All right. Everybody's saying hi. So one of the big things is time commitment. Yeah, that's covered too, Heather. One of them is time commitment. Requires substantial time investment for gardening, animal care, food preservation, and other tasks. Can be especially demanding for those with full-time jobs or other commitments. I agree with that. And we've done that when we first started. We were both working. Of course, financial, like a bunch of you said, starting a homestead can be expensive, requiring upfront costs for land, supplies, animals, and infrastructure. Maintaining a homestead also involves ongoing expenses for feed, equipment, and repairs. I hate doing things over. Like, I can't stand it. Drives me crazy. Um, Learning curve was listed. Learning curve involves learning new skills. Because beginners will inevitably face challenges and make mistakes. Patience and a willingness to learn are crucial. That's the truth. Physical labor. No, I think we all get that. Physical labor. I laughed at this one because it was potential isolation. I like it. Living in a rural or remote area can lead to feelings of isolation and loneliness, particularly for those accustomed to a more social lifestyle. I'm going to stop and go to the chat because I saw some good stuff here. Heather said, need more money. Absolutely. Gwen said, downside, not being able to just pack up and go somewhere for a few days. No kidding. For me, I don't see it as a downside 99% of the time, but I get that. I totally get that. When we decided to do this, we had decided that we didn't want to do any more traveling now, given the world. But that being said, it is a pain when maybe you just want to go somewhere overnight. It's just hard. It's hard. Gwen said downside, having to put out hay in the dark with black cows before Gary retired. No kidding. No kidding. Heather said downside, weeds. I have so many weeds in my garden. I don't even care. I'm not weeding it. I'm not. We're at the home stretch here. Holman's Homestead said, yes, we think going out of town 30 miles away to buy feed is a vacation. I agree. We travel 45 minutes one way to get our feed, and it's a beautiful ride. So we enjoy it. That's a vacation for us too. Hey, Brampton Gardner, good to see you, Rochelle. Hi, chat. Just got in from a neighborhood walkthrough where we vented to the mayor and councilor. Good for you. Holman's and Milk and Honey said, I like it too. Me too. And I'm assuming that's for the for being home. Sparkman said, I'm of the attitude that if you can actually see your neighbors, they are too close. I can see mine, but I'm okay with it. And the only reason why I'm okay with it is because we're not going anywhere at this point, because land prices just are out of reach. Out of reach. Way more downsides to living in town for sure. I'd rather be remote. I hear you, Gwen. I don't want to travel. Husband likes to go. Gwen said weeds, upside goats. Sparkman said I can grow weeds like nobody's business. Now beans or peas. Oof da. Yeah. Beans or peas, I don't have tons of luck with either. Hey, Lisa Colovi. Oh, see, she gave you a clue because I wasn't going to say that. I told him you were off tonight, Lisa. Sorry that you're delayed at the Miami airport. I hope that you have safe travels. Spartman is in South Dakota, Heather. And Brampton Gardner, I can't go anywhere because of my garden. Yes, you can. Holman said, Daniel Boone made a statement, if you can see the smoke from your neighbor, it's time to move. Interesting. That's a cool comment. I like that. I like that. Yeah. I froze a few packages last year, but not many. Not many at all. Hey, Barb's Country Home. Good to see you. Hi, Susan. Good to see you too. Lisa Colovi is with Susan. So the next thing on the list is unpredictable weather. Prepared for the impact of weather events like droughts, floods, extreme temperatures, which can damage crops, livestock, and property. That's a big one. That's a big one. Delivery issues, depending on the location, delivery of supplies or services can be challenging or unavailable, requiring self-sufficiency or alternative solutions. And then regulations and zoning. Zoning laws and local regulations can restrict certain homesteading activities, such as raising livestock or building certain structures. Ooh, that's awesome, Heather. Blueberries are delicious. Yum. Gwen said beans are scary here. Plant a few and end up canning and canning and canning until you're sick of them. So for me, it's like if you're a control freak and you want to control things, that's one thing homesteading teaches you is things are out of your control. You can do the best you can, you can learn all you can, but there's a lot of stuff out of our control. And one of which is, they said, the emotional toll. And I'm not saying that the emotional toll is out of your control, but the things that you deal with that may contribute to it, like dealing with animal deaths, crop failures, unexpected challenges, can be emotionally taxing. The constant cycle of birth and death, especially with livestock, can be difficult for some individuals. And I just had somebody say to me yesterday, what are you going to do with the 2 piglets? And I said, we're going to raise them for pork. And they were like, how could you do that? And I said, because I'm going to love them and pet them and feed them. And then we're going to put them in the freezer. So some people are just, they can't get beyond that. I kind of look at it as an opportunity to love my food before it goes in my freezer. I don't know if that makes sense, but I love on them and treat them like anybody else here. And they get the best care and they have a great life. Downside right now, mean chickens. Yeah, to the 4 that I added a couple nights ago. They're hiding in the corner. Oh, geez, yeah. Chickens are brutal. I know that people, there are people out there who are crazy chicken ladies, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, so don't get offended. But I have to tell you, chickens are awful, mean creatures. They are. And it's just what they do. Yeah, I think the chickens are funny to watch. I think they're entertaining, but they're really mean, often awful little raptors, I'm telling you. But that's what they do. Hey, and at the Cow Emporium, good to see you. Holman's Homestead said exactly, give them the best life they can. Absolutely. Absolutely. When I saw chickens that ate, I'm trying to think of how to say it without being gross. When I saw chickens that literally ate through to the brain of another chicken, ate through the rear end of another chicken, bullied that chicken we had, who is now gone, by the way. She went to live with the pigs and something got her. And I don't think it was my pig, because they always tolerate them all the time, because the chickens are in the barns all the time. But chickens are brutal. But when I saw them bullying that Appenzeller Spitzhauben that we had, after her being there for 3 years, and they just insisted on putting a hole in her brain. And then we'd have to put her in the coop and heal. But I digress. I don't want to get off on a tangent with that. I'm just saying that I've never seen anything more mean in my life. It's crazy. They are not the smartest animal in the food chain. But on the other side, they sometimes are. I have to give them credit for that. I mean, I have one that comes when I call her by name. I've taught them to come when I call them. And every day now, they learn the routine as it changes, because it changes from summer to winter. Because summertime, I ride the side-by-side down in the back to feed the boys with the feed and everything. And in the winter, I walk and feed everybody. So they learn the routine, and they know they can hear me getting the bucket of pig feed in the house, and they're standing by the door. They must be smart, because everything wants to eat them and they survive. True. True. A friend once said to me, she said, she says, chickens don't have anyone to show them how to be a chicken for the most part, right? Because they hatch in an incubator or, and yet they know all the things to do as a chicken. It is pretty cool. Annette says, we usually have trouble in the -40 because they're locked up tight. Yeah, they don't like that. They don't like that. I got a flock block from Harvey's on clearance for like, I don't know, was it $10? Real cheap. I'm saving it for the winter for when they get locked up. So it'll give them something to do. Sparkman said, I must be getting the special ed versions of birds lately because I've not seen this mystical wisdom you speak of. You are a trip, Sparkman. It is all about survival. Absolutely. Absolutely. Survival of the fittest. And I do believe in that. And that's why I wasn't going to keep that Spitzhauben in her own coop for forever, because I'm not going to have a special chicken just in a coop. So she figured out that she could live on electric net fence, and less chickens bothered her, and she was living with the pigs, and she was, what do you call it? Sleeping up on the crush rail, and so I let her be, and then something must have got her because she's gone. Feeding hay in freezing rain and breaking ice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one thing I think wasn't covered in the list, was talking about, the same things that you're going to do in summertime, you're going to do in wintertime, no matter how bad it is. No matter how bad it is. Whether it's, I know I always say, like, when it's, and Annette can relate to this, when you got a minus 47 or minus 30 wind chill, you're out there checking more often, right? Because you got to make sure ice is cleared and all that stuff, when you really just want to be in the house, but you can't. You got to be out there. If we were on a larger scale, we would probably have systems put in where we wouldn't have to be out as much, but we'd still have to be out checking on them. So, absolutely. But trying to think what else. The sky has got a nice color to it out there. Storms kind of split and went around us. I am so thankful that we don't have hard winters. I wouldn't have animals if we did. I don't mind having the animals. In fact, I really like having the animals in the winter. I like our system because it makes it easier. The system that we've kind of adjusted into the routine and all that stuff. And I think we've worked out the kinks that added worry, like putting carpet on the doors and that kind of thing, to get through those moments. But, and plowing to get down there and all that stuff. But I think I'm okay with the snow and I'm okay with the cold. I can't stand the horrid minus 30. That's my biggest issue. Other than that, I'm fine. I will not have coveralls on. I'll barely have a jacket on. I'll just throw a light jacket on and go out and feed. But when I have to put my coveralls on, I'm not happy. Hey, Nancy, our treasured home. Good to see you. Heather said, but I think having to start over from scratch and moving to a neighborhood or something, I feel I'd be very bored and sad. Yeah, I would be too. Annette said the same for her. Yes, I've committed and dedicated my whole being to farming. Yep. Yeah, I feel like I've learned so much in the past 5 years that I'm kind of in awe of, like, all the stuff that I've learned, and I think that goes for all of us, right? Because you learn stuff all the time. It's always learning something, whether it's learning a new trick on how to plant carrots, or learning a new trick on how to get things to work in your zone or grow better in your zone, or learning the way that you want to process stuff, or it goes for anything. There's so much that you can learn. And it's funny, Ryan always says, like, he'll do the stuff, but he's like, you're the researcher. And then, so I'm the researcher. Silly things, case in point, the vet castration, he did a lot of research on the castration because he was going to be the surgeon, so to speak. I'm the one who looked for a vet constantly looking for a vet. Every year I'd be looking for a vet. And we go on the 20th, so we'll see how that goes, but I'm just excited that we have somebody to do it. Gwen says, I'll put on my coveralls when I know it's cold and I have to be out for an extended period of time. I hate them though. I don't like them either. I I feel like a bundled up kid and I can't stand it. Hey, River Rat, good to see you, Red. Annette says I don't look forward to spending whole days in coveralls in a few months. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys have to be out a lot. We're small. We don't have to be out a lot. I go out, I feed, I come back in, maybe out for an hour at a time. But yeah, you guys have got it brutal. And the wind, excuse me, and the wind. I know you have, Barb. You have learned a ton. I cannot believe how much you have learned. Spartman said the best thing about winter is no more mosquitoes. No kidding. Hey, about 6 acres. Good to see you guys. It's Juana and Nick. Thanks, Heather. You've done great yourself. Let me tell you, everybody in this chat has done amazing. I think the biggest thing, right, Annette. No, I know what you're saying. Different scale, but the downsides are the same. That absolutely. I agree. I think the biggest adjustments that I've had to make, and think about some of the biggest adjustments you've had to make since you got into this. And I know for me, some of the biggest adjustments I've had to make was, and I'm going to think for a minute because I want to say it the right way. I'm not in control. That was a big one. I'm not in control. No matter how much I do, no matter how much it could be my best, and it won't be good enough sometimes. And that's understandable. So not being in control, hail, not being in control. Although we've taken steps to reduce it, we're still not in control. We're not in control of animals. We're not in control of things getting damaged. That was a hard one because my whole work career was trying to manage folks, and you're trying to control an outcome, right? So the other thing would be loss. And I don't know how to explain it without sounding like an awful person. Because of the work that I did, I was able to partition certain things off so it didn't hurt me. And, like when we got our first set of chickens, I sat there, I'll admit it, I babied them and I went down there, I had a camera on them, all that stuff, right? Because they were all new. And I'm not trying to sound cold. They were just new and exciting, right? Then you start to experience loss, and you experience it over and over and over and over again. And it becomes a part of partitioning it off. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt me, but I've learned to accept that it's part of it, I guess is the right way to say it. Like if I go in the coop and I see that a chicken has passed away, I know that we have older chickens, and I know that things happen to chickens. I don't know if that makes sense. The first time we had a pig, we had our second litter, and one did not have a rectum. And I insisted on bringing it to the vet that was helping us at the time to euthanize it because piglets were new for me, and I just didn't want Ryan to have to cull it, even though he would have. I chose to euthanize it because it was the first piglet we were losing. Since then, I know what we need to do, but I just hate to say that I've gotten hardened, but I have, because we've had so much loss. And I think hardening off is just to protect yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I know it's going to happen. Sparkman said, I've lost so many birds to various things that I've become hardened to them dying. Right, right. I have turned it into getting more mad that something took something of mine or of ours that we were depending on for food. That made me angry. That makes me angry. I just want to go back to the comments. Red said his peppers are struggling this year. Yeah, mine too. They're finally growing, but I'm not going to waste my time with peppers anymore. Driving me nuts. Amazing is not a word I would use for this year's garden unless it is followed by the word bad. Totally get it. Yes, the mosquitoes are obnoxious. Juana said about 6 acres. It's really tough that the job never ends, not 9 to 5. It's all the time. Yep, absolutely. All the time. River Rat said, I live on the river with a channel behind and all of the chickens and ducks. The mosquitoes have not been bad, letting them free range all day. Good. Yeah, I totally get mad. We did that video on the pheasants, and I didn't include the money, but I did respond to folks in the comments. If you just look at the cost alone for the turkeys and the pheasants we lost, it's $222 and change just for buying those birds. Doesn't include the time raising them, the electricity with the heat lamp, all that stuff. That's the one loss right off the bat. And it's just so maddening, you know? And honestly, sometimes when an animal is sick and we're going to lose them, I just sit there and go, please, dear God, just take them. Because I also don't want, although my husband will cull them because that's what you need to do to end suffering, sometimes I just pray, like, take them now, because culling stinks. Even though it's the right thing to do, it stinks. So, but yeah, I think that, there's the other article I read, they talked about certain people would be better at homesteading than others, and some would be absolutely horrible at it. And one of them is faint of heart. Like, if you're faint of heart and can't comprehend raising an animal and then butchering them, you're not going to do well. You're not going to do well. I mean, I have friends who are, friends who teased about when they were younger, their siblings had said, oh, yeah, this is Penny the pig or whoever, you know what I mean? And it kind of shaped their thoughts about it. But I have to tell you, they still have no problem taking bacon. So that's a different story, But if you literally cannot, deal with that kind of stuff, it's hard. Sparkman had a preacher try to tell me that I had to love all of God's creatures. I asked if I had to love the a-hole predators that keep eating my birds. He didn't ever reply. Yeah. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating when you spend so much time, so much effort. You build the infrastructure, you make sure it's safe for your animals, you make sure that you think that nobody could dig under, and over time the bottom line is the predators get in if they want to get in. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. So our pheasant butchering day will be pretty easy. Won't take all day. We just got 4. I know it sounds silly, but I was really more bummed because I wanted to see them all turn blue, like that gorgeous blue. Because to watch them mature from these tiny little ping pong ball, black, ugly little birds to blossom into these gorgeous birds. I mean, it's just something that I can really appreciate, you know? Oh, I'm sorry, Heather. I'm so sorry that you had to put a cow down. Ugh. That's awful. But that's the most humane thing to do. Annette said, Glenn said to me that the hard parts like culling need to go in different compartment in your brain that have at least 2 closed doors between that and your daily life. Yep. I like the way he said that, but that's what I do is I have to partition it off. And I know some people struggled with the idea or the fact that I was present when Waylon was butchered, and I can say his name and I'm fine now. Um, but I raised him. I felt like I needed to be there, and it's a part of it. Definitely a part of it. But you do have to partition it off. Holman said yes, exactly. Heather said yes. Rebecca said, I had a rabbit that would unalive her baby rabbits and I ended up having to cull her. Exactly. Exactly. I always remember Ryan said to me that it was harder for him. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, Holman's Homestead. Thanks for being here. Ryan always said it was harder to. So in 2022, in April of 2022, we had a dog, a golden doodle, come and kill half our flock. I just let him out to free range and they were just killed, half of them. At that time, we probably had about 40 chickens. Half of them were gone. Gone. Beautiful layers, beautiful birds, bodies everywhere. And that made me crazy. That made me crazy. And I'll tell you why. I was angry because we had built up our flock and they were beautiful layers, breeds that I really wanted. Like I went out of my way to pick really cool breeds and all that stuff. And I really liked the way my egg basket looked for my egg customers, and I really liked the way the flock looked. They were beautiful. They were beautiful. And it really irritated me because it was a dog, not a coyote or a wild predator. And it's because the dog gets food at home. Dog don't need to eat. Dog's just killing them, playing with them. When they stop moving, the dog's done with them. That really got me mad. A wild animal makes me mad too, but at least I get that it's a part of the circle of life. But having a dog come over and just kill so many of them really irritated the heck out of me. Now, luckily we were compensated, but we've spent a whole year buying pullets trying to get caught up on the egg sales because at that time we were like crazy egg selling. So, but that kind of stuff irritated me. So anywho, I don't know where I was going with that, but I got derailed. But you do have to partition it off because I remembered thinking I was so angry that if I drove around and found the dog. I found out where it lived because I'd never seen it before. But I drove around, found it, and then called animal control to come back and handle it so I could be recompensated for the loss, which we were. But had I not driven around looking for it, we might not have been because it was a big loss. So we were literally compensated for all the cost of the birds and all the lost egg sales for months till we got new ones. So, but still, it just doesn't bring it back. Your warrior battle gear have to be there when needed. Ain't that the truth, Heather? So true. Annette the coward poem. Then your friend Annette sent you a painting of Waylon. She bad. I love that painting of Waylon. I love that painting of him. I think it was the greatest way to honor him And I tell you, every time we eat his pork, we're like, what a good pig. Today Ryan did several pounds of pork belly, and we were like, Waylon, you done good for us. Thank you. You don't have a county animal control? This is a part of our shelter that serves it, and she's like down in Hot Springs, but she caught the dog red-handed with a dead bird right laying next to it on the front lawn. So that worked out good. But yeah, I mean, there's downsides, but for me, I share the downsides not because, oh, I'm getting out of this. No. I mean, as we age, things will change, and at some point we will stop breeding the pigs, and we will probably either let them live their life, or we will keep them as long as I can, and maybe I can't do it anymore, then that's a different story. But it's hard to believe, but Norman, get ready for this. Norman is 3 years old. Norman is 3 years old. August 10th, 2022. That blows my mind because I remember Norman being in this house like it was yesterday. I remember Sherman coming home with Sherman like it was yesterday, and I don't know where the time went. Hi, Wandering Steps. Good to see you. Broke Cowgirl said, nope, only city animal control. They will not do anything outside city limits. Sometimes they don't have it outside city limits because they allow you to handle it on your own. I'll leave it at that. I know if there's a threat to my animals, I have the right to protect them. Unfortunately, at the time, the dog ran off. People dump their animals in the country and make it someone else's problem. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Oh, thank you, Juana. Yep, that's what our sheriff will tell us too. Yeah, at the time that it happened, I just didn't realize he had gotten half of them. But anyway, that it ended fine, despite the massacre, but anywho. Hey, Annie, our urban homestead. Good to see you. Good morning. But sometimes you do have to do what you got to do, Oh, thank you, Wandering Steps. Nice to see you. So I'm trying to think of what else. So what are some of the things that you had to learn or adjust when you first started living this lifestyle? I'm curious. Like, what did you have to get over? For me, it was the control, no control, learning more stuff, and all that. But I'm just curious, what did you guys have to come to terms with or adjust to? I'm just going to look real quick here. That'll never having a day off. That'll do it, Annette. You guys work so hard. You guys work so hard. And I know right now you guys are busting your butts between cut notes and the market garden and all that stuff. It's crazy. And just when you're, and I don't know about you, Annette, but it always seems like when you're really, really exhausted, that's when something else hits. And you're like, I just want to go to bed. Hey, Troy Sutton, good to see you. Broke Cowgirl said, learning how to make a grocery list and getting everything I needed for an extended period of time compared to town living where you could just run and get it. Yeah, absolutely. That's a skill right there. That's a big skill. Making a schedule when I was so used to a very strict, tight one. Oh, yeah. That's a big adjustment too, Heather. Absolutely. Oh, I just heard a noise and I thought my phone was dialing somebody. Yeah, there is always just one more thing. Gosh, I admire you guys. You have so much going on right now. Makes me so mad when something on my list isn't in the store too. No kidding. No kidding. Trying to think what else. I hate having to redo things. I know that sounds so stupid. Like I know that fences need to be redone. I get that. But I feel like 5 years should be doing better than that in 5 years, if that makes sense. Shouldn't have to fix fences in the first 5 years. I don't have cows, darn it. But the erosion and all that with the drought and all these things we just recently had to cement T-posts in because we can't get them in the ground. And, I'm not talking, we redid the pig area 3 or 4 times because we changed our plans. We developed fencing areas for them, which we didn't have. We started with 2 pigs that were not cooney, didn't need to graze. Then we have to shift everybody around. And that's, a part of the thing with small land is shifting everybody around. And it's like, we put the fencing in and it's like, we had to redo it, and then a tree falls on it. The pigs are like stomping them down. About 6 acres. We don't burn our trash. So we have to take our trash can a quarter mile to the road. I totally get that. We don't burn ours either because there's very strict burning here, although my neighbor loves to burn, even when there's a warning not to burn. And they burn their trash. So I totally get that. We walk down our driveway to put the trash. In fact, our garbage can is down at the end of the driveway with our neighbor, not a quarter mile, but we put the garbage bag outside the front door. And then when we go down to the garbage can, we bring the bag down. Well, that's why if you'll see me post on Instagram sometimes, like the other day, I posted something about don't feed your chickens greasy food or fatty foods. And my chickens were pulling steak fat out of the garbage bag. I was like, they rip open the bag every time. And our dump is about 45 minutes away. So, and you have to weigh in at the feed store and pay and all that. And I just, we don't have a truck or a side by side. Yeah, that's hard too. That's hard too. Not having a truck is hard. Troy said adaptation to changing health issues. That's a big one. And I know Annette said past 50 like us. That's a big one. When I fell down and had to get stitches and Ryan was really sick with the vid, and I had to finish chores because he was just passed out with a fever. And then when I had the vid and the complications and was on oxygen, I couldn't do chores. It's a lot. And so, yeah, adaptation to changing health issues is a lot. You really have to put plans in place and know when you're going to adjust what you have so that way you're not making it harder for yourself. There's a cattle guard, so many won't deliver to our gate. Just pray that it doesn't rain. Okay. They won't deliver to your gate because there's a cattle guard. That's so ridiculous. If that was the case here, nobody would get deliveries because everything is cattle guarded. We're a fence out state. So the free range cattle, everybody has cattle guards. 12 miles to our garbage place, Gwen said. Heather said, we recycle, go to the dump every 6 to 8 weeks. So we don't have to pay. It's spendy here. Yeah, it's pretty spendy here too. No recycling. Not here. $22 each time. Huh. Our dump is 45 minutes away too. We got rid of our burning barrels this year. Yeah, it's hard because there's ways to burn garbage and there are ways to burn garbage. I'm not against it. We have people who burn garbage that are just, it's disgusting. I'll leave it at that. Oh, I could get on a rant about USPS. Yeah, they won't cross the guard. They can't back up too far. They can't deliver to my house. Only when it suits them. Yeah, I've battled with them like you wouldn't believe. Yeah, if you had a truck, you would definitely bring it to the landfill. We only have had to pay for curbside pickup, so we don't have to go to the landfill, which is pretty reasonable. We've only had to pay for it the past 2 years. Before that, we had access to a dumpster, so we used to be able to get rid of everything. Now we don't. So this is like the first time in probably 15 years that we've paid for garbage because we always had access to a dumpster. And yeah, by the time we spend all the gas, get weighed up, go down to the landfill, it's just, it costs a bunch of money, and it's cheaper for us to have it get picked up every week. The large things we will take down to the landfill, but we usually can give them away to somebody beforehand. We wish we could burn more, but we can't because you got to have so much snow on the ground and all that because we're in the Black Hills Fire District, which has a lot of strict rules. Nancy says we live in suburbia and we still have problems with the mail. Everyone has problems with the mail. A lot of those local Facebook groups, I see them all the time. People are like, whose house is this? Because that's my package. It's crazy. Suburbia. So here's a fun fact for you. I never heard of this before. I learned this today. Totally unrelated, but I'm going to share it. There are counties in South Dakota. So you know how it's rural, urban, suburbia sometimes, right? There are counties in South Dakota that are classified as rural, which is us. Then there are counties that are classified as frontier, and it's based on how many people per square mile. South Dakota has a bunch of frontier counties because the population density is so low, which is pretty cool. I had to get a P.O. box because my neighbors would not bring my boxes to me that were shipped to my house. Well, that's awful. P.O. boxes are expensive. Very expensive. And what irritates me is they're super expensive in some areas and a lot cheaper in some other areas. That's what drives me crazy. But all right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to get going. I hope Lisa Clovey is, she's having a delay in Miami. I hope she's having a safe trip. Because I went to a small town, I got my P.O. box. It's only costing me $68 for the year. Wow. Ours was like 80, and then it was going up over 100, and I refused to pay it. And that was ridiculous. You too, about 6 acres. I hope everybody has a wonderful, safe weekend. Thanks for coming tonight. Really appreciate you guys. Hoping to have a garden tour put up on Monday is my goal, maybe Tuesday. I'm trying to get better at doing videos, but I haven't shown you guys the garden since the last time, and that one was actually earlier in July. So this will probably be the last garden tour because I'm not going to go through it all. And no, I'm not going to weed it for you before I do the video. Show you reality, veggies and weeds. So have a great day, everybody. Thank you, Annette, for spending some time with me. And thank you all for being here, and have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.